Right. So previous video means in the previous class we discussed some physical properties of bases and reaction with water. Sorry, reaction with metals. Reaction with metals. Let us discuss the next chemical property. The next chemical property is neutralization reaction. In that, first one, reaction with acids. Reaction with acids. So, what happened when when acids reacts with bases? What happened? So, a salt and water is formed. Similarly, when bases reacts with acids, base base plus acid, base plus acid gives rise to salt and water. Salt and water is obtained. A base reacts with acid, produce salt and water. For example, sodium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide plus HCl, hydrochloric acid, hydrochloric acid gives us sodium chloride plus water. So sodium chloride plus water. Similarly, potassium hydroxide plus HCl also gives us potassium chloride, potassium chloride plus water, plus water. Then one more example, um, sodium hydroxide plus H2SO4 sulfuric acid, sodium hydroxide plus sulfuric acid gives us sodium sulfate plus water, sodium sulfate plus water. So when when bases reacts with acids, they form salt and water. As we discussed earlier, so if any chemical reaction, if salt and water is formed, such reactions are called neutralization reaction. Generally, neutralization reaction takes place between acids and bases. Acids and bases. In the properties of acids, we already discussed when bases react, when acids react with bases, salt and water formed. Salt and water formed. Such reactions are called, neutralization reactions. Neutralization reactions. Then next one, so we completed reaction with the metals, reaction with the acids. Let us discuss one more reaction. Neutralization reaction, second one. Reaction with non-metal oxides. Reaction with non-metal oxides. Reaction with non-metal oxides. What are these non-metal oxides? When non-metals like carbon reacts with oxygen, it gives carbon dioxide. So as we know, carbon is a non-metal. When when non-metals combine with oxygen, they form their respective non-metal oxide. Similarly, sulfur combined with oxygen and produces sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide, like nitrogen, phosphorus also combined with oxygen and they form their respective oxides. So here carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, phosphorus are the examples for non-metals. So those their respective oxides, carbon related oxides, nitrogen related oxides, sulfur related oxides are called non-metal oxides. Non-metal oxides. So what happen when these non-metal oxides are reacts are combined with bases? So let's understand reaction with non-metal oxides. For example, base of our base plus non metal oxide, base plus non metal oxide forms salt and water. Salt and water is formed. Salt and water is formed. Let us explore with example sodium hydroxide, which is a base, reacts with or carbon dioxide, reacts with carbon dioxide. For example, what happened? Na2CO3 plus H2O. Na2CO3 plus H2O may be sorry, right? So let us take another example. Instead of sodium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide. Okay, here better take, let us take the familiar example instead of this. Familiar example, calcium hydroxide. This is called lime water or slaked lime. Lime water or slaked lime is reacts with carbon dioxide, which is already discussed here, non-metal oxide. So produces calcium carbonate plus water. Calcium carbonate plus water. So this is lime water as lake lime. This is a limestone. Limestone. So that means when carbon dioxide, which is a non-metal oxide, is reacts with calcium hydroxide, a base, means when carbon dioxide is passed through lime water, as we know very well, the lime water turns into milky white, and insoluble substance is formed in water. So that is again called limestone. calcium carbonate calcium carbonate, which is a salt. Calcium carbonate, which is a salt, and also release water, and also gives us water. So we know in any chemical reaction, if a salt and water is formed, salt and water is obtained, then such reactions are called neutralization reaction. Such reactions are called neutralization reactions. So here we clearly know sodium hydroxide base, hydrochloric acid base, sorry, acid. So one acid, one base combined together and form salt and water. We know this neutralization reaction. Then what about this calcium hydroxide is a base? What about this carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide, which nature it has, it is a non-metal oxide. Non-metal oxide. These non-metal oxide like carbon dioxide reacts with calcium hydroxide. Which one we get? Calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate, which is a salt, and this is a water. If it is base, if it is salt, it is water. Then what about this? This is acts as a acid. It acts as a acid. So non-metal oxides, non-metal oxides like carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide. These are the examples for non-metal oxides. Non-metal oxides. These non-metal oxides are having acidic in nature. That's why, that's why when these non-metal oxides, when these non-metal oxides reacts with bases like sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, they form their respective salt and water. So if it is salt and water form, when a substance react with the bases, the substance having acidic nature. The substance having acidic in nature, right? So these are the properties. These are the properties of bases. So physical properties, chemical properties, all we discussed. Reaction with metals, reaction with acids, reaction with non-metal oxides. Non-metal oxides. So when you understand the reactions of acids, then understanding reaction with bases also very easy. Very easy. So for understanding, you must be uh, listen the classes in your school regularly, attentively. You must have very concentration. Otherwise, the simple concepts also unable to understand. So, read your textbook for more information. Prepare your own notes. Then you will understand better and better. So, thank you.